Resume. Yes, Honorable Leva.
Madam Presiding Officer, the parliamentary status is we still in the matters arising from the minutes, and may I just reconsider the approval of the minutes that this is something to do with the supplemental budget number 1, that instead of amending the proposed executive budget, proposed executive supplemental budget, we approve the same as it is and just have an administrative provision for the realignment of by addition as manifested in the original amendment.
Okay. Okay, and it will be reflected in the minutes.
Yes, Madam President.
Okay. Thank you. With regard to that, any objection to the manifestation? With regard to the clarification on the approved supplemental budget? The chair hears none. The motion in substance is approved. We can proceed.
That's all for the matter arising from the minutes. We now go to the approval and amendment of the agenda. In today's agenda, we don't have any privileged speech nor question hour. For the messages and correspondence from the governor, we have 3 items and 1 additional item which is very urgent, certified as very urgent. For communications and petition, we have 4 items. For the municipal ordinances, for review of the board, we have 1 item. For the first reading and referral to committees of proposed ordinance, we don't have. For the proposed resolution, we have 3 items. For committee reports, we have 2 items. For the calendar of business, we don't have any unfinished business for the day, and assigned business. For the proposed ordinance resolution for third and final reading, we have 1 item. Madam Presiding Officer, may I move for the approval of today's agenda as amended?
Any second to the motion? Duly seconded. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The amended agenda is now adopted or approved.
As I have mentioned, there's no privileged speech nor question hour. We now go to committee reports. May I ask that we recognize the chairperson of the Committee on Health and Nutrition for the joint committee report number 588 of 2025 of the Joint Committee on Rules, Laws, and Ordinances and the Committee on Health and Nutrition.
Yes, Honorable Mercy Rejano is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Committee report number 588-2025. Joint Committee on Rules, Laws and Ordinances and Committee on Health and Nutrition. Subject: letter from Dr. Geraldo Caballes, Provincial Health Officer, requesting the Sangguniang Panlalawigan for the enactment of a resolution authorizing the Honorable Governor Presbytero J. Velasco Jr. to enter into terms of partnership with the Department of Health, Center for Health Development, Mimaropa, relative to the management and implementation of the Universal Health Care Act and 2023 to 2025 Local Investment Plan for the Health as embodied in the concurred annual operational plan for CY 2025. The joint committees unto which was referred to the above mentioned request is now ready to submit its finding and recommendation for the Sangguniang Panlalawigan in Bank for its consideration and appropriate legislative action. Findings: Section 2 of RA, otherwise RA 11/2023, other known as the Universal Health Act of 2019, mandates the national government to make available community rate financial and non-financial matching grant, including capital outlay, human resources for health and health commodities, to improve the punctuality of province-wide and and citywide health system, provided that the grant shall be in accordance with the approved province-wide and citywide investment. For the Secretary, siguro pong i-ano na lang natin yung citywide, province-wide. Pakidelete na lang po yung citywide. The local investment plan for health is the key instrument for enforcing the Department Health and LGU partnership carried out health reform and implemented through the annual operation plan. Recommendation: based on the foregoing, the Joint Committee hereby recommends that the adoption of a resolution authorizing the Honorable Governor Presbytero J. Velasco Jr. to enter into terms of partnership with the Department of Health Center for Health Development, Mimarupa, relative to the management and implementation of the Universal Health Care and the 2023-2025 Local Investment Plan for Health as embodied in the concurred annual operational plan for year 2025. Respectfully submitted, Aurelio J. Leyva III, Chairperson, Committee on Rules, Member of Committee on Health, yours truly, Chairperson, Committee on Health, concurred by Julius Honorable Caballes, Chairperson, Committee on Health, Member, Committee on Health, Committee on Rules pala, yung number 1, the Vice Chairman for Committee on Rules, sorry, and the members of the Committee on Health, and Bernadine Opis Mercado, Vice Chairman, Committee on Health, members, Committee on Rules, Jose Neril Mangol, member, Committee on Rules, Antonio Mangkukang III, members, Committee on Health, Bertinos Valencia, member, Committee on Health, on Rules, Adeline Emangeles, Vice Governor ex officio. I so move for the adoption of this committee report. And as Madam Presiding Officer, I move that this will be, the adopted resolution will be tackled for the business for today for the approval.
Thank you, Honorable Rejano. Any objection to the motion? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The committee report as rendered is now adopted, and the recommended resolution will be considered in today's business for the day. Thank you, Honorable Rejano.
The next committee to report is the Committee on Appropriation. May I ask to recognize the chairperson?
Honorable Ismael Lim is recognized.
Madam Chair, Mr. Floor Leader, my colleagues, good afternoon. I present here with Madam Chair Committee Report number 589-2025 of the Committee on Appropriations with various items referred to the committee as the subject. On the, everyone has a copy, so I will just report the highlights of the committee hearing. There are items on the agenda. Number 1, the values MOE request and the capital outlay accounts under the LMB peso amounting to 3,600,000 pesos. Next is the 450,000 request for various MOE accounts under the Office of the Provincial Administrator. The third is the 2.3 million various capital outlay accounts under the Provincial Planning and Development Office. And finally, the 1,750,000 peso request for various MOE accounts under the PHRMO. The committee gives favorable recommendation for the passage of the following resolutions in the plenary. Number 1, a resolution appropriating the total amount of 3,600,000 pesos for various MOE and capital outlay accounts under LMD pesos subject to availability of funds, to wit: A, purchase of motor vehicle 2 million pesos, Tupad Cum training 1 million pesos, property, plant, and equipment, 400,000 pesos. Representation expenses of the Provincial Governor's Office for the Provincial Governor's Office, PGO, 200,000 pesos. Number 2, resolution appropriating the total amount of 450,000 pesos for various MOE accounts under the Office of the Provincial Administrator, subject to availability of funds to it. A, traveling expenses, 100,000 pesos, training expenses, 50,000 pesos, and other general services, 100,000 pesos. Repair and maintenance of transportation equipment and light vehicle, 150,000 pesos. E, repair of and maintenance of machinery and equipment, 50,000 pesos. Other maintenance and operating expenses, 50,000 pesos. For number 3, a resolution appropriating the total amount of 2,300,000 pesos for various capital outlay accounts under the PPDO, subject to availability of funds to it. A, purchase of motor vehicle, 2 million pesos. B, furniture and fixtures, 300,000 pesos. Fourth is the resolution appropriating the total amount of 1,750,000 pesos for various MOE accounts under the PHRMO, subject to availability of funds to it. A, other general services, 350,000 pesos. B, professional services, 350,000 pesos. C, training expenses, 500,000 pesos. D, traveling expenses, 200,000 pesos. E, other supplies and materials expenses, 300,000. F, other maintenance and operating expenses, 50,000 pesos. For the proposed ordinances under of the municipalities, this one is for the proposed ordinance of the provincial government of Marinduque. The proposed ordinance number 16-106, an ordinance amending articles 1, 3, 4, and 5 of the provincial ordinance number 213, series of 2023, otherwise known as the Athletics, Sports, and Academic Monetary Incentives Ordinance of 2023 of the province of Marinduque, and for other related purposes. Particularly, Section 13, Appropriations, states that for the implementation of this ordinance, the amount of 10 million pesos shall be appropriated annually under the Office of the Governor, subject to accounting and auditing procedures, rules, and regulations. The Provincial Budget Officer has submitted comments, suggestions in accordance with the said proposed ordinance as attached, which in turn have been answered by the sponsoring committees, the Joint Committee on Rules, Laws, and Ordinances, Committee on Education, Culture, and Arts, Committee on Youth and Sports during the previous committee hearing. And the B, Committee on Appropriations, in consultation with the sponsoring committees, decided to set the initial amount of at 5 million pesos for the implementation of the said ordinance, which can be adjusted depending on the number of winners. So, thus, Madam Chair, the committee recommends the reduction of the appropriation from 10 million pesos to 5 million pesos, subject to adjustments depending on the number of recipients. And for the proposed ordinances granting additional aid to barangays and as financial incentives to barangay awardees who receive the Seal of Good Local Governance, SGLGB, in the barangay level in the form of projects, the Provincial Budget Officer suggested that an amount of 50,000 pesos to 100,000 pesos be given per barangay awardee, since they have already received incentives from the DILG. So there is a proposal, Madam Chair, that we limit the incentives for the barangays, because there may be a time when numerous awardees may be coming forward as winners, and thus the availability of funds may be in question. So the committee recommends that we interpose no objection to the approval of the proposed ordinance, provided that the amount of incentives be given per barangay shall range from 50,000 to 100,000 pesos, as recommended by the Provincial Budget Officer. And 2 is the proposed ordinance be referred to a joint committee on Blue Ray governance and public accountability, Human Rights and Social Justice Committee on Barangay Affairs, and Committee on Appropriations as led for a final recommendation. For the review and appropriation, for review of ordinances appropriation ordinances from the component municipalities, the committee recommends the following resolutions. Resolution declaring appropriation ordinance number 1, series of 2025, authorizing calendar year 2025 general fund annual budget of the municipality of Boac, Marinduque as operative, subject to the conditions, comments, and findings of the provincial budget officer. Number 2, resolution declaring appropriation ordinance number 12, series of 2024, authorizing calendar year 2024 general fund supplemental budget number 4 of the municipality of Santa Cruz, Marinduque as operative, subject to the conditions, comments, and findings of the provincial budget officer. And finally, resolution declaring appropriation ordinance number 13, series of 2024, authorizing calendar year 2024 general fund supplemental budget number 5 of the municipality of Santa Cruz as operative, subject to the conditions, comments, and findings of the provincial budget officer. Respectfully submitted, yours truly, Ismael D.P. Lim, Chairperson, concurred by Mark Julius P. Cavales, Vice Chairperson, Danilo R. Red, Member, Jose Nerel L. Manggol, Member, Bertinos A. Valencia, Member, and Adeline M. Angeles, Vice Governor, ex officio Member. Madam Chair, the committee report number 589, series of 2025 of the Committee on Appropriations, I hereby submit for adoption, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Lim. Any clarificatory question from the floor? On the part of the presiding officer, was it clarified during the committee hearing that the incentive to be given in the to the barangay officials, to the barangays who are recipients of the seal of good local governance is for additional project? It is not a financial reward that is being provided, but in the form of project, which may be charged from the 20%, it may be charged from the general fund, or it may be charged from the DRRM fund. It's not a separate, baka po ang intention, kasi parang ito'y parang lumalabas na financial reward. But I think the intention of this presiding officer, who happened to be the proponent also, is they will be given priority in the projects. So, baka lang ho, was it clarified po during the committee hearing?
Yes, Madam Chair, the subject title is that it's a proposed ordinance granting additional barangay aid as financial incentives to barangay awardees who receive the seal of good local governance, SGLG, in barangay levels in the form of projects.
Okay ho. Kasi iniisip ko lang po, ano ang project na aabuti ng 50,000 pesos?
That's why it ranges, Madam Chair. The provincial budget officer recommended for 50,000 pesos. It is the committee that recommends to the higher limit of 100,000. But, Madam Chair, the rationale is that the barangays would be receiving incentives also from the DILG itself. So ours would just be additional incentives, Madam Chair.
Okay. Then the presiding officer respects the recommendation of the committee also. But yun nga, on the part of this proponent, just a sentiment that our intention is at least makatulong man lang sa halimbawa ay waterworks project nila, na pwede nilang sabihin na itong waterworks project na ito ay binigay ng provincial government dahil kami ay naging recipient ng SGLG. In the first place, nagbibigay nga po tayo ng amount of 2 million, 3 million sa hindi awardees, ay itong mga barangay na ito is just sana an assurance na because of their performance, they will be given priorities. Yun lang ho. Iniisip ko lang.
Perhaps, Madam Chair, the Sangguniang Panlalawigan can discuss further the amount. Probably the budget officer is just being conservative, Madam Chair, in the event that numerous barangays would be receiving the award. then there we will experience some budgetary constraints.
Sorry. Okay. So, thank you. Therefore, now the presiding officer and proponent will respect the recommendation of the committee. Anyway, we will discuss it still in the second reading, and maybe in the second reading, when we already have the draft of the proposed ordinance, then possible request for reconsideration of during the deliberation may be introduced also.
And these are just initial recommendations, Madam Chair.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Lim. So any other query? Kung wala na po, what is the pleasure of Honorable Lim?
Madam Chair, I move that the committee report number 589-2025 of the Committee on Appropriations be adopted, Madam Chair.
Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The committee report as rendered is now adopted.
Moving further, Madam Chair, that the proposed resolutions stipulated in the said committee report be included in the business of the day, Madam Chair. I so move.
Thank you, Honorable Lim. The recommended resolutions will be considered in today's business for the day.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Lim. Yes, Honorable Leva.
The next to report is the Committee on Rules, Laws, and Ordinances with regard to the Municipal Ordinance number 299 of the Municipality of Santa Cruz. May this representation be recognized, Madam Presiding Officer.
Proceed, Honorable Leva.
It is within the power of the Sangguniang Bayan under Republic Act 7160, otherwise known as the Local Government Code of 1991, to pass an ordinance or enact an ordinance providing for the permanent or temporary closure of roads. So therefore, the Committee on Rules, Laws, and Ordinances favorably endorsed the adoption of an ordinance declaring Municipal Ordinance number 299, Series of 2025, entitled an ordinance authorizing the temporary closure of Mabini and Gomez Streets on March 5, 2025 to provide for a site for the said makeshift or outpatient clinics and to establish designated areas for patient reception and processing in the municipality of Santa Cruz as valid and within the power of the Sangguniang Bayan to enact. The committee moves for its adoption.
Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The committee report as rendered and its recommendation is now adopted or approved.
The next to report, Madam Presiding Officer, and the accompanying resolution be transferred to the business for the portion of today's session.
And likewise, the accompanying resolution will be considered in today's business for the day. Thank you, Honorable Leva.
Madam Presiding Officer, may I ask to recognize the chairperson of the Committee on Tourism for the report on resolution number 2025-1029.
Honorable Antonio Mangkugang is recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. The Committee on Tourism Development and Cultural Heritage favorably endorsing the passage of a resolution entitled a resolution congratulating and commending Mr. Jericho Ricoplaza Sapunto for being declared as the champion in the 2025 photography contest conducted by the Multimedia Arts Association of the Philippines, Mimaropa, for his entry, Moriones. And Mr. Jericho Ricoplaza Sapunto's Moriones is experienced and embraced a unique cultural immersion in the heart of the Philippines. Moriones Lenten Rites, or simply Moriones, as an annual festival in the heart-shaped island province of Marinduque that takes place during Holy Week, where the penitents wear costumes and must portraying the biblical imperial Roma soldiers while roaming around the streets of that commemorates the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ through the Lenten rituals and practices. Via Crucis, also known as the Way of the Cross or Stations of Cross and Cenaculo, a theatrical portrayal or reenactment of Jesus' death and passion. So, an outstanding performance deserves to be commended for the honor and recognition he has brought to our province. Respectfully submitted, Committee on Tourism. And the committee formally moves for its adoption in today's session, and likewise the corresponding resolution be transferred under the business for the day. I so move, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Honorable Antonio Mangkukang III. Any objection? It's a committee report. The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The committee report and recommendation as rendered is now adopted, and the corresponding resolution in the adopted report will be considered in the business for the day. Thank you, Honorable Antonio Mangkukang III. Yes, Honorable Leva.
The next to report is the Committee on Trade and Industry for the proposed resolution number 2025-134.
Honorable Red is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Committee report number 2025-1034. Resolution congratulating and commending Ms. Carmelita R. Reyes, owner of Rehanos Bakery, for being awarded the regional recognition for proficiency in quality management level 2 by the Philippine Quality Award, PQA, program of the Department of Trade and Industry. This representation formally moves for the adoption of the committee report, Madam Chair.
Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The committee report favorably endorsing the adoption of proposed resolution number 2025-1034 is now adopted. Thank you, Honorable Red.
And Madam Chair, the accompanying resolution be transferred to the business of the day.
Thank you, Honorable Red. The said resolution, proposed resolution, as recommended, will be considered in today's business for the day. Thank you, Honorable Red.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Presiding Officer, move that we convert the body into a committee of the whole to consider 3 referrals. One is the referral to the Committee on Human Resource, Labor and Employment for the concurrence of Engineer Romel Montano and Ms. Rina Aurin, and the referral to the Committee on Appropriation with regards to the PRDP 30% equity. I so move, Madam Presiding Officer.
There is a motion duly seconded for this body to be converted into committee of the whole. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. This body is now converted to a committee of the whole.
Madam Presiding Officer, may I ask that we recognize the chairperson of the Committee on Human Resource for the concurrence of Engineer Romel Montano and Ms. Rina Aurin.
Honorable Julius Caballas is recognized.
Madam Presiding Officer, may we please invite our first...
Okay, maybe may the presiding officer maybe know from the committee if the requirements and concerns raised in the previous resolution of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan has been satisfied already.
Madam Presiding Officer, as of this date, the requirements of the committee have already been addressed. Therefore, the committee recommends that we proceed with the confirmation of the appointment of the 2 individuals concerned.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable Leva.
This is granted, Madam Presiding Officer. I move for the adoption of a resolution at the committee level.
Thank you po,
pertaining the same.
Thank you po,
Okay.
Bukaleva.
Thank you. let it just be put on record that there are some clarifications being clarified by the HRMO already, and there is just one document that will be clarified accordingly. So let it just be put on record that the HRMO manifested commitment to submit the document that will clarify the requirement. But for the meantime, thank you, ma'am, and on the part of the presiding officer, una ay just in case ma-formalize na po yung inyong appointment, we look forward to andito na ho. Yes, our HRMO is here. O sa ngalan ho ng on the part naman ng presiding officer, una ho ay hindi naman natagalan ang inyong confirmation. Let it be put on record sapagkat dumaan lang ho sa process at sinigurado lang ho ng Sangguniang Panlalawigan that everything is in order. Katunayan ho na ito ay mabilis. Kailan po natin ito na-receive? Ito hong resubmitted documents. Kailan po yung March 6? Last Thursday. And supposedly, sa normal process, sa regular process ng Sanggunian, dapat ito ay ngayon ay i-refer pa lamang sa committee para muling mapag-usapan. Pero dahil nga po, we are trying to be efficient also, considering that these are also resubmitted documents already. So instead na i-refer pa po natin sa komite, para sa susunod na session pa, i-report ng komite, yun hong session namin ngayon ay kinonvert namin into committee of the whole para lang ma-accommodate ho ang pag-uusap na ito. Gusto lang ho natin na ma-familiar din po kayo doon po sa process. And rest assured that the Sangguniang Panlalawigan is always a partner natin sa executive in making things as efficient as possible. Sa ngalan naman rin ho ng presiding officer, ang akin lang hong prayer is kapag ho kayo ay finally ay nagkaroon na ng confirmation to be a full-fledged assessor, ay ang dasal ho natin ay mapangunahan po ninyo ang tanggapan ng provincial assessor with the competency na kailangan ho ng tanggapang ito, which we believe meron naman po kayo, at mapanatili ho yung integrity ng tanggapan at yung passion of service ninyo po na dati naman na po ninyong ginagawa. So with due respect ho sa final disposition ng body, I personally ho ay nagpapasalamat na rin pati ako po sa inyo pong dati ng paglilingkod sa pamahalaang panlalawigan. Thank you po. Yes, what is the pleasure of the body? We now have Sir Blair Di Maano. Kanina po ay nagmanifest po tayo that there is a commitment from the HR to provide a document that will better clarify some of the concern. May we hear from Sir Blair, you have something to say? Wala naman po. Okay. Isasubmit nyo na po ba yung document? So, sige po, you may the HRMO, Sir Blair, is recognized.
Magandang hapon po, Ma'am Presiding Officer, and to the honorable board members of the 16th Sangguniang. I have with me the supplemental documents that was requested earlier. ito po ay with regards to the certification or justification ng appointment ni Ma'am Rina Aurin and ni Engineer Monciano, because we understand that there's a principle of quantum leap and 4 salary grade po yung mangyayaring promotion sa kanila. So with regards to Ma'am Rina Aurin, since the position of the assistant assessor is vacant, then she's deemed qualified, and also she has relevant work experience and showed consistent high performance in the dispense of her duties as OIC provincial assessor. She also has to, we received, with regards to the application, we received 6 applications, 2 of which underwent the rigorous selection process, but 4 did not appear. So they forgo the application process. And with regards to Engineer Monciano, our justification is the applicant passed through a deep selection process taking into consideration the candidate's superior qualifications in regard to relevant work experience, consistent high performance rating and ranking, and other meritorious case is that the qualified next in rank employee did not signify his intent to apply. We received 2 applications, one from Engineer Monciano and another one from Engineer Lugdat. So I will submit.
Okay.
Madam.
Thank you, and requesting our good HRMO to kindly submit the documents to the Secretariat and also for consideration of the body.
Thank you, Madam Presiding.
Maraming salamat, Sir Blair. Do we still have other query to Ma'am Rina? Kung wala na po, Ma'am Rina, you are excused. Sige po. Yes, Honorable Caballes.
Madam Presiding Officer, with the previous queries and concerns of the committee now being addressed and satisfied, this representation on behalf of the Committee on Human Resource would like to recommend the confirmation of the appointment of Ms. Rina N. Aurin as Provincial Government Department Head, Provincial Assessor, in compliance with the existing and applicable rules, laws, and regulations of the Civil Service Commission.
Is there any second to the motion of Honorable Caballes? Is duly seconded. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion of Honorable Caballes favorably endorsing the concurrence, the giving of concurrence to the appointment of Ms. Rina Aurin as Provincial Assessor will now be considered as is now approved and will be considered in the committee of the whole report and recommendation. Yes, Honorable Caballes, for the other position.
The presiding officer, also with us today, or before us, is the letter from Governor Presbyterian J. Velasco Jr. submitting to the Sangguniang Panlalawigan the appointment of Engineer Romel M. Monciano as Provincial Government Department Head, Provincial Engineer for concurrence of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan in compliance with existing and applicable rules, laws, and regulations of the Civil Service Commission.
Okay, may we invite Engineer Monciano sa rostrum po in front. Is there any clarificatory question or message for Engineer Monciano? Or meron po bang gustong sabihin si Engineer Monciano in addition to the information that has been submitted to this August body?
Given a chance po, makakaasa po kayo na katuwang po ninyo ako sa lahat ng mga adhikain ng ating provincial government, para po mas magkaroon po tayo na mas maayos at mas komprehensibong probinsya. Thank you very much po.
Maraming salamat, Engineer Monciano. Meron pa po bang dagdag na katanungan? Kung wala na po, sa ngalan, on the part din ho ng presiding officer, una ay salamat for the services you already rendered as our partner in the Provincial Engineering Office. And at the same time, with the full-fledged mandate of being a department head, just in case full concurrence will be accorded to you, Engineer, we really look forward sa inyong epektibong, mas lalo pang epektibo na pamamahala o pamumuno sa Provincial Engineering Office. Alam po naman natin na ang PEO ang isa sa talagang talagang critical, hindi man critical, mahalaga, yung mahalaga na departamento. Of course, all the other offices and departments are equally important, pero ang engineering really play a very important role sa pagsusulong ng mga epektibong implementasyon ng mga proyekto na kakailanganin ng tao at ma-appreciate ng tao. So, you are still very young and dynamic also, and we look forward, Engineer Monciano, just in case, without prejudice ho sa magiging decision ng body, kung sakali ho na magiging full-fledged department head po kayo, isa po ako sa talaga na umaasa na mas lalo pa hong magiging maayos ang pamumuno sa Provincial Engineering Office. And yun lamang ho, and looking forward to really accountable provision of service in the Provincial Engineering Office. Salamat po. Meron po bang iba pa? Kung wala na po, what is the pleasure of the... wala na pong itatanong kay engineer? Okay. Kung wala na po, you may take your seat. You may be excused, engineer. And what is the pleasure of... again rin po pala. Kagaya po ng binanggit ko kay Ma'am Rina kanina, yun hong medyo proseso ay hindi po matagal. Gusto lang ho namin ipaliwanag yan at ma-realize po natin pare-pareho na yun hong aming ginagawang proseso nga ngayon, that the session is regular session, but because of some meeting of the minds, we both recognize na kung kinailangan, kagaya po ng ginagawa namin ngayon, this is not a session. This is a committee of the whole meeting. Kasi supposedly dapat i-refer lang yan sa committee for the committee to make its committee hearings sa mga susunod na araw. But in consideration and some meeting of the minds, we converted our regular session into a committee of the whole so that we can act and make final disposition on this subject matter. So sana lang ho ay maunawaan din ho na we are just making a balance of the process and at the same time the requirements and all. So salamat, Engineer Monciano. Yes, Bocal Caballes, what is your pleasure?
Madam Presiding Officer, this representation on behalf of the Committee on Human Resource favorably recommends the confirmation of the appointment of Engineer Romel M. Monciano as Provincial Government Department Head, Provincial Engineer, in compliance with existing and applicable rules, laws, and regulations of the Civil Service Commission.
Any second? Duly seconded. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The motion of Honorable Cabales is approved. The committee will make a recommendation for the giving of concurrence to Engineer Romel Monciano as Provincial Government Department Head of the Provincial Engineer in the Provincial Government of Marinduque. Thank you, Engineer Monciano. With that, what is the pleasure of Honorable Leva?
I move that we terminate the committee hearing on the human resource on the concurrence of Engineer Romel Monciano and Ms. Rina Aurin and proceed to the hearing of the Committee on Appropriation with regards to the 30% equity of PRDP.
Ang nire-request po ay resolution of commitment that a separate appropriation ordinance shall be passed by the Sangguniang Panlalawigan because of the calibration on sharing, Madam Chair, kasi since dati po kasi ay kita po meron naman po kayong kopya lahat. Dati po ay kita ay fourth class province, ang sharing po ay Land Bank of the Philippines ba to? 70%, tapos GOP ay 10% and LGU ay 20%. Eh ngayon po ay kita ay second class na, may sa calibrated cost sharing po ay ang 60% na lang po ang galing sa Land Bank, GOP ay 10% and LGU ay 30%. So we will have to make some adjustments on our appropriation ordinance.
Okay.
So, but for now, Madam Chair, ang hinahingi po muna ay commitment, resolution of commitment. Of course, we are committed, Madam Chair naman po, na ito ay itama, i-adjust. A resolution of commitment that a separate appropriation ordinance shall be passed by the Sangguniang Panlalawigan.
Okay, thank you. So what is the recommendation of the committee? What will be the recommendation of the committee?
We propose that we recommend favorably the passage of a resolution of commitment, Madam Chair, for this said calibration.
Any second to that motion for recommendation? Duly seconded. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. So the recommendation of the committee will be for the adoption of a resolution granting the request of the governor for resolution of commitment for separate appropriation for that purpose. Thank you, Honorable Lim.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And maybe we will refer that particular item also for appropriation, for proper appropriation. Yes, Honorable Leva.
I move that we revert back to the original form of the session.
The body is now being reverted back to its regular form, being the 120th regular session of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan. Yes, Honorable Leva.
Madam Presiding Officer, I move that we recognize the chairperson of the Committee on Human Resource for its committee report.
Honorable Julius Caballes will render the committee report.
Madam Presiding Officer, this presentation moves for the or recommends for the concurrence of Engineer Romel M. Monciano's Provincial Government Department Head, Provincial Engineer, in accordance or compliance with existing and applicable rules, laws, and regulations of the Civil Service Commission, as well as the appointment of Ms. Rina N. Aurin as Provincial Government Department Head, Provincial Assessor, for concurrence in compliance with existing and applicable rules, laws, and regulations of the Civil Service Commission.
Any objection to the motion and any motion to adopt the report, Honorable Caballes? Adoption of the committee report.
Is that a separate report or one report?
One report.
One report.
Okay.
One report with two proposed resolutions of concurrence. So there is a pending motion for the adoption of the committee report of the Committee of the Whole led by the Committee on Human Resource for the adoption, recommending the adoption of two resolutions. One resolution favorably endorsing the appointment of Ms. Ina Aurin and one resolution favorably not endorsing the appointment, giving concurrence to the appointment of Ms. Rina Aurin, and another resolution favorably endorsing the concurrence to the appointment of Engineer Romel Montiano as head of the Provincial Engineering Office, department head. Any objection to the committee report to be adopted? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The committee report and recommendation is now approved.
The presiding officer further move that the said resolutions be transferred to business for the day.
And likewise, the two resolutions will be included in the business for the day. Thank you, Honorable Caballes.
Thank you po.
Yes, Honorable Eva.
Okay na rin, may I ask that we recognize the chairperson of Committee on Appropriation for its committee report.
Honorable Lim.
Madam Chair, good afternoon. Honorable Floor Leader, my colleagues. Madam Chair, I present here with committee report of the Committee on Appropriations relative to the request of the Chief Executive, and that the Committee on Appropriations hereby recommends in favor of the passage of a resolution of commitment that a separate appropriation ordinance shall be passed by the Sangguniang Panlalawigan to provide the required equity for the I-Build sub-projects of the Philippine Rural Development Program funded by the World Bank equivalent to 30% of the total project cost, Madam Chair. This representation moves for the adoption of the committee report.
Thank you, Honorable Lim. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The committee report as rendered favorably endorsing the resolution as proposed is now adopted.
Moving further, Madam Chair, that the proposed resolution be included in the business of the day.
And likewise, the recommended resolution will be considered in the business for the day.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Honorable Lim. Yes, Honorable Eva.
That's all for the committee report. We now go to the calendar of business. We don't have any unfinished business. For the business for the day, the first item in the business for the day is the accompanying resolution of the committee report number 588-2025 on Joint Committee of Rules, Laws, and Ordinances and the Committee on Health and Nutrition.
Who will sponsor? Yes, Honorable Mercy Rejano is recognized.
Madam Presiding Officer, I move for the approval of a resolution authorizing the Honorable Governor Presbytero Vidya Velasco Jr. to enter into a terms of partnership with the Department of Health Center for Health Development, Mimaropa, relative to the management and implementation of the Universal Health Care and 2023-2025 Local Investment Plan for Health as embodied in the Concord Annual Operational Plan for calendar year 2025. I so move.
Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The resolution granting authority to Honorable Governor Presbytero J. Velasco Jr. to enter into a terms of partnership with the Department of Health, Center for Health Development, Mimaropa, relative to the management and implementation of the Universal Health Care Act and 2023-2025 Local Investment Plan for Health as embodied in the concurred Annual Operational Plan for 2025 is now approved.
The next resolution is the accompanying resolutions of the Committee on Appropriation.
Madam Chair, this representation moves for the for an omnibus motion to pass the accompanying resolutions stipulated in the committee report number 589-2025 of the Committee on Appropriations, to wit: Number 1, a resolution appropriating the total amount of 3,600,000 pesos for various MOE accounts and capital outlay accounts under the LMD peso, subject to availability of funds. 2, a resolution, details, Madam Chair, are incorporated in the said committee report. 2, a resolution appropriating the total amount of 450,000 pesos for various MOE accounts under the office of the provincial administrator, subject to availability of funds. Number 3, resolution appropriating the total amount of 2,300,000 pesos for various capital outlay accounts under the PPDO, subject to availability of funds. Number 4, resolution appropriating the total amount of 1,750,000 pesos for various MOE accounts under the PHRMO, subject to availability of funds. And also, the resolutions,
Pwede pong i-approve muna natin yung lahat ng supplemental appropriation.
yes, Madam Chair, I submit.
So, ilang supplemental appropriation?
3 supplemental four supplemental resolutions, Madam Chair.
For LMD Peso, Provincial Administrator, PPDO,
PPDO, and HR.
HRMO. Is there any second to the motion, to the omnibus motion for the adoption of the 4 resolutions as moved by the sponsoring chair? Any second to the motion? Duly seconded. Any objection? The chair hears none. The omnibus motion for the adoption of those 4 resolutions as moved by the sponsoring chair is now approved.
And to proceed, Madam Chair, the another omnibus motion for the passage of the proposed for the appropriation ordinances of the component municipalities. To wit, 1, resolution declaring appropriation ordinance number 1, series of 2025, authorizing calendar year 2025 general fund annual budget of the municipality of Boac, Marinduque as operative, subject to the conditions, comments, and findings of the provincial budget officer. 2 is a resolution declaring appropriation ordinance number 12, series of 2024, authorizing calendar year 2024 general fund supplemental budget number 4 of the municipality of Santa Cruz, Marinduque as operative, subject to the conditions, comments, and findings of the provincial budget officer. And finally, Madam Chair, the resolution declaring appropriation ordinance number 13, series of 2024, authorizing calendar year 2024 general fund supplemental budget number 5 of the municipality of Santa Cruz, Marinduque as operative, subject to the conditions, comments, and findings of the provincial budget officer, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Lim. Any second to the omnibus motion? Duly seconded. Any objection? The chair hears none. The omnibus motion of Honorable Ismael Lim is now approved. The following resolutions, or the resolutions declaring calendar year 2025 general fund annual budget of the municipality of Boac, calendar year 2024 general fund supplemental budget number 4 of the municipality of Santa Cruz, and calendar year 2024 general fund supplemental budget number 5 of the municipality of Santa Cruz as operative and within the authority of the said LGU to enact, subject to the conditions, comments, and findings of the provincial officer, is now approved.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Lim.
Next item is the concurrence of the appointment of Engineer Romel Monciano. May I ask to recognize the chairperson of the Committee on Human Resources.
Honorable Mark Julius Caballas is recognized.
Madam Presiding Officer, may I ask the Secretary, our Secretary, to please facilitate the vote of concurrence for the appointment of Mr. Engineer Romel M. Monciano as Provincial Government Department Head or Provincial Engineer.
Requesting the good secretary to kindly facilitate.
Honorable Mark Julius P. Caballes.
Yes.
Honorable Aurelio J. Deva
I
III.
register an abstention.
Honorable Antonio L. Mangkukang III.
Yes.
Honorable Bernardine Opis Mercado. Yes. Honorable Melga Balarin Cabo. Honorable Mercedes Arellano. Honorable Danilo Ared.
Yes.
Honorable Ismael D. Pilim. Honorable Jose Neril L. Manggol. Honorable Bertinos A. Valencia. Madam Presiding Officer, the result of the votation. 9 members of the board present voted in favor of the motion. 1 abstention and nobody objected.
With 9 members of the board voting favorably with one abstention, the chair declares the resolution granting the resolution giving concurrence to the appointment of Engineer Romel M. Monciano as Provincial Government Department Head as Provincial Engineer is now approved.
The next item is the concurrence of Ms. Rina Aurin. May I ask that we recognize the chairperson of the Committee on Human Resources.
Again, Honorable Caballes.
And the presiding officer, this representation, may this representation ask the Secretariat to please facilitate the votation for the concurrence of the appointment of Ms. Rina N. Aurin as Provincial Government Department Head, Provincial Assessor.
Again, requesting the Secretary to kindly facilitate.
Honorable Mark Julius P. Caballes.
Yes.
Honorable Aurelio J. Leva III.
I vote yes.
Honorable Antonio L. Mangkukang III. Honorable Bernardine Opis Mercado.
Yes.
Honorable Melgabal Arincabo. Honorable Mercedes Arejano. Honorable Danilo Arred. Honorable Ismael D. Pilim. Honorable Jose Neril L. Manggol. Honorable Bertinos A. Valencia. Madam Presiding Officer, the result of the votation, 10 members of the board present voted in favor of the motion, nobody abstained, and nobody objected to the motion.
With 10 members of the board voting favorably, the chair declares the resolution giving concurrence to the appointment of Ms. Rina N. Aurin as Provincial Government Department Head, Provincial Assessor, approved or is now approved.
We now go to the accompanying resolution of the Committee on Appropriation with regard to the 30% equity of PRDP. May I ask that to recognize the chairperson of the Committee on Appropriation.
Again, Honorable Lim is recognized.
Madam Chair, as an offshoot of the committee report relative to the request of the Chief Executive for a resolution of commitment, this representation moves that we pass a resolution of commitment that a separate appropriation ordinance shall be passed by the Sangguniang Panlalawigan to provide the required equity for I-Build sub-projects of the Philippine Rural Development Program funded by the World Bank equivalent to 30% of the total project cost. Madam Chair, I so move.
Any second to the motion? Duly seconded. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The resolution of commitment of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan that a separate appropriation ordinance shall be passed by the Sangguniang Panlalawigan to provide the required equity for I-Build sub-projects of the development program funded by the World Bank equivalent to 30% of the total project cost is now approved.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Lim.
We now go to the accompanying resolution of the Committee on Rules, Laws, and Ordinances. May this representation be recognized.
Proceed, Honorable Leva.
I move for the adoption of a resolution declaring Municipal Ordinance Number 299 Series of 2025 of the Municipality of Santa Cruz entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the Temporary Closure of Mabini and Gomez Streets on March 5, 2025 to provide for a site for the said makeshift outpatient clinics and to establish designated areas for patient reception and processing as valid and within the power of the Sangguniang Barangay.
Any second to the motion? Duly seconded. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The resolution declaring Municipal Ordinance Number 299, Series of 2025 of the Municipality of Santa Cruz is now declared valid, operative, and within the authority of the said LGU to enact.
Madam Presiding Officer, may I ask to recognize the chairperson of the Committee on Tourism for the adoption of a resolution.
Honorable Antonio Mangkukang III is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This representation formally moves for the passage of a resolution congratulating and commending Mr. Jericho Ricoplaza Sapunto for being declared as the champion in the 2025 photography contest conducted by the Multimedia Arts Association of the Philippines. Mima Ropa for his entry, Moriones. I so move, Madam Chair.
Any second to the motion? Duly seconded. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Resolution number 2025-1026, congratulating and commending Mr. Jericho Ricaplaza Sapunto for being declared as the champion in the 2025 photography contest conducted by the Multimedia Arts Association of the Philippines. Mima Ropa for his entry, Moriones, is now approved.
Madam Presiding Officer, may I ask you to recognize the chairperson of the Committee on Trade and Industry for the adoption of a resolution.
Honorable Danilo Red is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Resolution number 2025-1034, resolution congratulating and commending Ms. Carmelita R. Reyes, owner of Rehanos Bakery, for being awarded the regional recognition for proficiency in quality management level 2 by the Philippine Quality Award PQA program for the Department of Trade and Industry. This resolution, this representation moves for the approval of adoption and approval of committee report, Madam Chair.
Resolution. Okay.
Resolution, Madam Chair.
Okay. Any second to the motion? Duly seconded. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Resolution number 2025-1034, congratulating and commending Ms. Carmelita R. Reyes, owner of Rehanos Bakery, for being awarded the regional recognition for proficiency in quality management level 2 by the Philippine Quality Award program of the Department of Trade and Industry is now approved.
Madam Presiding Officer, that's all for the business for the day. We don't have any unassigned business. Madam Presiding Officer, we are supposed to approve on third and final reading proposed ordinance number 16-89, but I have observed that the title, the red letter title, repealing for the purpose provincial ordinance number 5, series of 19, was not integrated or included in the title after the clause now, therefore. We cannot approve an
So can we just defer
yes, Madam. I move that we defer the same
disposition?
till next session, Madam Presiding Officer.
Okay.
So as to correct.
Thank you. Disposition on proposed ordinance number...
Do sa title. So I move to defer the same, Madam Presiding.
Okay. Disposition on the proposed ordinance number 16-89 will be deferred until the subsequent session. Thank you, Honorable Leva.
That's all for the proposed resolution and ordinance for third and final reading.
Any other announcement? Kung wala na po, what is the pleasure of the body? Yes, Honorable Leva. The session is now adjourned until March 25 at 10 o'clock in the morning.